Hello, and welcome to this introduction to the National Science Foundation. This presentation is designed to give you a very brief primer on NSF, our organization, and our budget outlook. Hopefully, the information I provide to you today will help put many other conference sessions that you attend in context. My name is Janis Coughlin-Piester, and I'm the CFO, or Chief Financial Officer, and the head of the Office of Budget, Finance, and Award Management, or BFA, here at the National Science Foundation. BFA has many responsibilities, from implementing policies and procedures for the entire proposal and award lifecycle, to making all of the awards to your organizations, and to handling all of the financial policies and payments. I'm going to talk through the origins of NSF and how NSF is organized. We're going to provide some budget information, funding trends, and I'll also provide you links to some key documents. As you attend other sessions throughout this week, I encourage you to ask your questions early and often. Inspired by advances in science and technology that occurred as a result of World War II, NSF was established by Congress in the National Science Foundation Act of 1950. As an agency, our mission comes straight from the law that established NSF: to promote the progress of science, to advance the national health, prosperity, and welfare, and to secure the national defense. And we do that by supporting investments across a whole range of science and engineering areas. Let me provide a high-level overview of NSF. NSF is an independent agency. This means that we are part of the executive branch of the federal government and outside the cabinet agencies like the Department of Health and Human Services, under which the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, sits. NSF supports fundamental basic research and education in all the non-medical fields of science and engineering. Most of the awards we make go out as grants. However, we award funds as cooperative agreements, contracts, and fellowships. We have a very low overhead. About 94% of NSF's funds go out the doors to awardees, which is enabled by automated systems such as research.gov. We have a discipline-based structure, much like institutions of higher education. For example, our Directorate for Mathematical and Physical Sciences houses the divisions of Astronomical Sciences, Chemistry, Materials Research, Mathematical Sciences, and Physics. An important aspect of NSF is our use of rotators, what we call IPAs, or Intergovernmental Personnel Act employees. NSF has a special hiring authority to bring people in from the community on a temporary basis. And this keeps NSF connected to the communities that we serve and ensures that we have new, fresh voices coming into the foundation. The NSF director oversees all NSF staff and is responsible for carrying out its mission and day-to-day activities. In addition, the president appoints a 24-member National Science Board made up of eminent individuals in the science community. The director works with the board to establish the overall policies for the foundation. And the director and deputy director of NSF are nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. NSF is divided into 8 directorates that support science and engineering, research, and education. We also have an international office to coordinate international engagement and collaboration, as well as an Office of Integrative Activities that manages large cross-directorate and agency-wide programs, such as the established Program to Stimulate Competitive Research, or EPSCoR. Not shown here on this slide are our mission support offices, like my organization, the Office of Budget, Finance, and Award Management, and the Office of Information and Resource Management, both of which ensure that the agency's operations are running smoothly. In 2021, NSF supported about 2,000 organizations and over 318,000 people. We received about 43,000 proposals that year, and we selected over 11,000 for funding. This means that we declined about 32,000 proposals in FY 2021, many of them due to limited funding rather than merit. Awards are determined through a merit review process, regarded throughout the world as the unequaled standard of scientific review. It relies on expertise of accomplished scientists to ensure that all NSF projects are the highest quality and have the potential to advance the frontiers of knowledge and transform our world. We must be doing something right because in the last count, NSF-supported researchers have received 253 Nobel Prizes. Although NSF invested in all of those laureates' basic research long before they were recognized by the Nobel Committee. And given our track record, Odds are we have future award winners among our portfolio today. Speaking of our portfolio, this slide shows NSF support of academic basic research by various fields as a percentage of total federal funds provided for basic research conducted in academic institutions. So as you can see, NSF is a major federal funding source for academic basic research. In the case of computer science funding, almost 80% of federal support comes from NSF. Many government organizations work to ensure that the U.S. leads the world in research and innovation, and we partner with many of them on research initiatives. NSF is a major funder of institutions of higher education in many critical fields, ensuring that vital research areas continue to contribute to increasing the nation's leadership. The fiscal year 2023 budget request totals more than $10 billion. You can take a deeper dive into the NSF budget on our website, but I wanted to take an opportunity to speak briefly about NSF leadership when it comes to science funding at the federal level. For the United States to continue to be a world leader in research and innovation, we need to invest in both fundamental research and translation. We need to create technologies and jobs for the future through such investments. We also need to ensure that we have a workforce, a diverse workforce, that is prepared for the jobs of today and tomorrow. Many of you know about the CHIPS and Science Act, through which NSF and our partners can unlock science and technology breakthroughs to drive our economy and national security for decades to come. By expanding the geography of innovation through regional innovation, by investing in domestic STEM talent like never before, by strengthening the lab to market pipeline, and by increasing funding for basic science and engineering research that lays the foundation for the future. Now for a few more specifics about the NSF 2023 budget request. NSF has 6 separate appropriations accounts, which you can see here on this slide. And what you're seeing is what NSF spent in each of these accounts in fiscal year 2021. You see the congressionally appropriated amounts for 2022 and our FY 2023 request. You can see that the delta between actual spending in 21 and the 2023 request is $2 billion, which we hope will begin to address some of the issues I just mentioned. Now for a look ahead to the next few months. We began fiscal year 2023 on October 1st, and we are currently operating under a continuing resolution through December 16th. Congress is working on appropriations bills to provide full year funding for NSF and address the CHIPS plus Science Act that I've already mentioned. While that law was passed this summer, it only authorizes an additional $81 billion for NSF for fiscal years 23 through 2027. Appropriators still need to provide additional funding to NSF for us to implement many of the provisions in that bill. I provided some additional links to the House and Senate for more information about the CHIPS and Science Act. As I've just mentioned, we are operating under a continuing resolution through December 16th. So what this slide shows is the number of days it has taken each year before we receive our full appropriation. In the last 30 years since 1992, there have only been 2 years where we began our fiscal year with a full year appropriation. In fiscal year 2022, we were under a continuing resolution for 164 days. And since 2016, the average number of days before we received an appropriation is 132. So what this means is that we work through about half the fiscal year operating at the prior year's funding level. And that means we have a lot of work to do between now and the end of each fiscal year to get all of those funds awarded. Now that we've talked all about the funding, what are your chances of getting funded? This slide shows for the last 5 years the number of proposals that we've received and those that we've been able to fund. You can see it's a range between 23 and 28%. In fiscal year 21, we were right in the middle at 26%. There are many factors that contribute to this, and what I'm showing here is really pretty simple math. But you should know that the success rate varies significantly across NSF by directorate and by program. But again, it does drive home what I stated earlier. NSF is only able to fund about a quarter of the proposals that we receive. And for many, it's not due to the proposal lacking merit. but that we have limited funding to support the good ideas coming into the agency. For the last several slides, I've been talking mostly about what happens on an annual basis. However, NSF manages an award portfolio that spans multiple years. What that translates to is a portfolio that's about $36 billion in total award funding at any given time, with 48,000 active awards and over 3,000 awardees. When it comes to award oversight, many of the people you'll be hearing from throughout the grants conference are working on the items listed in the box on the right of this slide. It shows the activities that NSF is engaged in with our awardees throughout the award lifecycle. This oversight includes pre-award reviews all the way through to audit resolution. And if you have questions, there are people here who can help answer them for you. There are several resources here on this slide, many of which I've touched on today, and many of which you will hear mentioned as you attend other sessions at this conference. Finally, it's worth repeating. We encourage you to ask early and ask often. If you don't get your question answered this week, please know that you can find NSF staff and their contact information on the NSF website. Finally, I provided a link to employment opportunities at NSF. We are always looking for great people to join our team. Please take a look if you'd like to join us here at NSF. Thank you again for your time, and I really hope you enjoy the conference.